This is RPD Dispatch. The Shibuya precinct is reporting a missing person, believed to be an abduction. Subject is Maria Osaya, 19-year-old student at Midoriyama Academy, last seen at the LL Diner near campus.
Kano and Sasayama had been working a burglary case in Jingumai's 5th district when they got the call. The two arrived at the LL Diner at 7:15 p.m. At roughly the same time, several other officers showed up to secure the area, blocking off entry to nearby roadways and monitoring the surrounding establishments. Oh wow, it's cool to see Sasayama in a suit. Inside the restaurant, Kano and Sasayama were met by the girl who'd reported the kidnapping. It was the victim's twin sister, Hitomi. Could you tell us about when Maria was taken, starting from the very beginning? Kano said, keeping his voice low.
My sister and I, we were supposed to go to a party together today.
Hitomi was trembling, her voice hoarse.
But I messed up the time. I showed up right at 7, an hour later than I was supposed to.
So Maria had gone alone to the party, a mixer for locals and exchange students. Hitomi, arriving late, had showed up just in time to glance out through the restaurant window and see her sister getting shoved into a car. She described the vehicle as a blue station wagon of Japanese make.
Why would something like this happen to her?
Hitomi held back her tears, but she was shaking all over.
Did you get a look at the kidnapper?
Yes, it was a man, middle-aged.
There was another eyewitness, Leyland Palmer. He identified himself as a lecturer at Hitomi and Maria's school. I saw it too. I don't know what voice to do for him. As like Hitomi says... I'll make it British. As like Hitomi says. I heard Hitomi cry out, so I went to the window to look. And... His Japanese was halting, as if he hadn't been in the country very long. Is this a butterfly? Meme reference. I think that maybe the kidnapper was working alone. Leland explained he'd seen the man shove Maria into the back seat, then clamber into the driver's seat. If he had an accomplice, wouldn't they have been driving? Neither Hitomi nor Leyland had gotten a look at the suspect's face. Kano was interviewing others who had been on the scene, looking for other potential witnesses, when his phone rang. That judging glare from Sasayama. It was Yoshio Kajiwara, one of the senior detectives.
Set up a task force for the investigation. Get back to the station once you have a handle on this situation.
Barely half an hour had passed between the time the kidnapping was reported and the time the task force began operation. When Kano and Sasayama got back to the precinct station, Kuze had already arrived from HQ. He informed them that a response team had been formed to investigate the victim's home. Kano could feel a particular tension in the air. Unfamiliar NPD detectives scurried to and fro around the Shibuya offices. He pulled one of them aside to get a quick update. An hour had now passed since the kidnapping. There had been one new development. The perpetrator had made a threatening call to the victim's home. He said the following. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. by Hachiko in Shibuya. Of the sister Hitomi, bring 50 million yen. If not, the girl's life is forfeit. Eat that banana, buddy. Kajiwara from the precinct was put on the response team, along with detectives from elsewhere who'd received special training in abduction cases. Normally, a local precinct detective wouldn't have gone undercover in a victim's home. Kuze, however, had decided that having a knowledgeable local was crucial, and had sent Kajiwara along. Ooh, that's a beautiful house. The detectives disguised themselves as delivery people and movers to make their way inside without arousing suspicion. Arriving there at 8:30. So is this the previous day, I think? I'm pretty sure. The response team had come prepared to run a trace if the kidnapper connected the family a second time. But there were no further calls. Kano checked his watch again. 20 minutes had now passed since the time designated for the ransom handoff. The kidnapper had yet to appear. Crap, you think we might have spooked him? He wondered aloud.
Hey, stay calm.
Sasayama scanned the passing throng.
He's just playing with us.
Why'd this guy even pick this place? Kano voiced the question he'd been asking himself ever since he'd heard the kidnapper's demands. Sasayama shrugged.
Figure he must want to blend in with the crowd, nab the money, disappear before anyone knows he's there, would be my guess.
In that case, why not pick Shinjuku or Ginza? A big crowd didn't just benefit the kidnapper, after all. It also allowed the police to use the sea of people to conceal their own operation. Right now, there were 50 detectives stationed within a 50-meter radius of where Hitomi stood. The kidnapper would be taking a major risk if his plan was to nab the ransom money and run. That's what bothered Kano. Any criminal with half a brain would know better than to do a handoff in front of Hachiko.
You're overthinking things, pal.
Sasayama grumbled. No, I'm not. Kano reached into his pocket and pulled out his notepad. This was Kano's dick diary, excuse me? Should I be showing that? Which he always kept close at hand. What? Sasayama rolled his eyes.
That thing again?
Kano ignored him, flipping through the notepad pages. Aha! Here it is! Dick Dictum! Number 89! What? The more irrelevant something seems, the more irrelevant it's bound to be. It was a favorite saying of Kyuzo Tateno, an assistant inspector from the Shibuya precinct. Tateno was the kind of detective Kano aspired to be. For the current operation, he'd been placed in charge of Hitomi's personal safety. He was in position to defend her as soon as the ransom had been handed off. Of course, Hitomi hadn't been informed of how much protection she was under. There was a risk that if she acted too secure, it might alert the kidnapper. I think Tateno has the right idea. Sasayama snorted quietly.
Maybe. I mean, he's a great detective. Don't get me wrong. But do you know how many irrelevant things there are to consider?
Again, Kano ignored him. It didn't matter if nobody else understood. Kano had faith in Tateno, as both a detective and as an individual. He had first witnessed Tateno's brilliance during a standoff at a financial company 3 years earlier. A man had shut himself in an office, splashing gasoline everywhere and threatening to set the place ablaze. While the others hesitated, Tateno unflinchingly doused himself with gasoline and strode into the building, where he managed to talk the man down and secure the scene. And then he caught fire and everybody died. Whoa! The others have been awestruck by Tateno's actions. Ikano, who at the time would be content to be a run-of-the-mill policeman, this is young Kano here, nice, had found it quite inspiring.
Still, you know,
Sasayama murmured under his breath.
as great a detective as Tatsuno is, it's not like anyone else in the world has ever heard of him.
I suppose not, Kano said. So...
Only time anyone ever hears a cop's name is if he's caught up in some scandal or killed in the line of duty.
what is it with these guys and eating bananas?
I mean, doesn't really seem fair, does it?
Kano just shrugged. It was a strange definition of unfair, really.
I mean, you've got celebrity chefs and celebrity hairdressers and stuff. So how come no celebrity gumshoes, you know?
Oh, there were those. There are lots of those, at least in America. Look, please, can you just focus on what we're doing here? Kano rubbed his eyes, then turned his attention back to Hitomi.
What's the matter? Didn't sleep?
Not enough, I guess.
Did you eat?
Didn't have time. Between bringing in supplies for the base of operations... readying the team's vehicles, photocopying hundreds of documents, and various other tasks, Kano had barely slept the previous night, and hadn't gotten a meal in either.
What have you been doing?
Sasayama puffed out his chest. Saving up my energy for today!
So you were sleeping.
Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. There he is! Kuza's voice chirped suddenly through Kano's earpiece.
A man in his 20s wearing a sleeveless red jacket. He's carrying a garbage bag.
Whoa. Are you sure this is the guy? A young man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He strode toward her, a sinister look on his face. Well, I wouldn't say that's a sinister look. His shirt looks pretty sinister, though. He didn't match Hitomi's description, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper had hired some young street punk to snatch the ransom payment.
That our guy? What do you think, Kano?
Sasayama whispered.
Yeah, I think he's gotta be.
This was it. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. He bent his knees, ready to act fast. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. Could this be the culprit? Or perhaps... The young man tried to snatch the briefcase from Hitomi, but she clung to it with desperate strength. Whoa! It was him! The detectives rushed in. Whoa! Whoa! Hey!
Whoa, hey, what the hell?
The young man cried out frantically and tried to dart away, but the officers closed in, forcing him bodily to the ground. Target secured! Oh, jeez, I think we got another suspect on the scene! He's taking the ransom! What? Oh, good job, guys! Kusei's hysterics made Kano spin around. Sure enough, a foreign-looking man was sprinting away, attaché case in hand. God! Oh, you screwed up! The mob of detectives scrambled to pursue. Before Kano could react, most of them had run off, leaving him to look after the original suspect. What should I do with this guy, sir? He might have some connection to the kidnapper. Should I bring him in?
Huh? Oh, sure. That'd be swell.
I'm on it. With the help of one of the remaining detectives, Kano brought the suspect back to the Shibuya precinct. This doesn't seem right. Look, how many times do we have to go through this? Cut the crap! In the interrogation room, the young man, who gave his name as Achiendo, steadfastly insisted on his innocence. Why'd you try to steal that case? Kano watched Achi's face intently. Like I said, it looked heavy, so I was just trying to help her out. He looks like a total surfer dude, so that's the accent I'm gonna give him. It wasn't inconceivable that a young guy would want to help a pretty girl. But he told me he had just been standing there, hardly in desperate need of assistance. She hadn't set the case down, so I figured there had to be something important inside. An entry from Kano's dick diary shot through his mind. Dictum number 25. When the tongue slips, grab it and yank out the truth. Classic advice for a question. Something important, you say, such as... How the heck would I know? Achi spat. He huffed and slumped back in his chair. This standard textbook back and forth had been going on for nearly an hour. Kano didn't mind. Chasing down criminals was all well and good, but questioning suspects was another key part of the job. Plenty of off-the-scene work went into cracking a case. Once again, he had Achi explain what he'd been doing, starting from the beginning. When Kano finally emerged from the interrogation room for a short break, he learned that there had been some progress on the case at the crime scene. What the police hadn't been able to determine yet, however, was whether or not Maria was safe. Fighting back his anxiety, Kano consulted his dick diary. Number 54. Are we gonna do this the whole game? Haste makes waste. He felt his tension subside. Remembering the right maxim always helped. It was like casting a magic spell. Kano returned to confront Achi once more. You were there to act as a distraction, to mess up the investigation. Weren't you? Huh? Achi looked a bit dumbfounded.
What are you on about?
Dictum number 55. What is this game? The truth hungers to be free. What? I don't think you're doing that correctly, Kano. You hungry? Got some katsudon. I don't know what that is. Oh, that sounds delicious. Katsudon, I'm sorry. Sorry. Baiting with food is to be avoided. Achi nodded silently. Oh, that looks amazing! Oh, I haven't had lunch yet. That looks incredible. Achi devoured the bowl of katsudon with gusto. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a while. Alright then. Spill it! What's this guy after? Achi just shrugged. "Oh," he murmured, a thick slice of egg-laden pork between his teeth. How many accomplices do you have? Kano asked. But Achi just shook his head as he inhaled his food. Resignedly, Kano flipped through his notebook once more. Dictum number 115! Use the lights to your advantage. What is going on? As the minutes ticked past, he found himself referring to his book again and again, trying a dozen different methods to tease out whatever his suspect might be hiding. The experience began to feel strangely surreal, their two voices echoing hollowly in the interrogation room.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Eventually, Kano looked at the clock and realized that the questioning had been going on for 5 hours? Jeez, some Christmas. He still hadn't made any headway. What was he supposed to do next? Tateno would know, but he sure didn't. Still, he was determined to do whatever he could to keep the victim and her family safe. You're new on this job, aren't you, Kano? Gritting his teeth in frustration, he perused the Dick Diary like it was scripture. He's like, are we done? Number 116. The monotonous question was clearly tiring Achi out. His eyelids drooped like they were beginning to get heavy. Number 117. Get them when they're tired.
Kano's eyes gleamed.
You're part of some criminal gang, huh? Way to go, buddy. Your intimidation put them to sleep. Achi's head slumped forward heavily. Nodding off was basically the same as nodding yes, right? Mr. Kuze! I did it! The young guy we grabbed at the handoff site, he finally confessed!
What? What are you talking about?
Kuze laughed in disbelief.
We're just about to apprehend the mastermind here.
Huh? Kano clutched his cell phone, dumbstruck.
Listen, why don't you... Look, just wait there at HQ, okay?
No! It can't be! I suck as a detective!